Good morning, fuck demons. Welcome back to Sex News with Ray. We have a special episode for you today. We are not going to be talking about the news because I'm sitting here with Marisa. Hi. You'll remember her. She is my business partner. We are sex educators together. We teach a bunch of workshops and we are hungover as fuck. Because we went to Oasis Aqualounge last night.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, actually, Marisa had never been to a sex club. So just to paint a picture of what's going on right now, I'm sitting here in the nude. Marisa is currently removing last night's makeup so she can apply today's makeup. We just ate some cheese and had our coffee. And I did mention that we're hungover.
Yeah, you already did that.
Okay, great. Yeah. So perfect. So everyone now knows exactly what they're getting out of this episode.
I've had 4 Motrin.
4 Motrin. I've had none, but I did wake up and chug 3 glasses of water.
Jesus Christ.
That was a good time. We hung out with Elle was there at some point last night.
And her partner.
And who don't listen to the podcast, I think, but shout out to them from the platform as well. Voluntary.
I don't know. Can I meet them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to them. We had a great time. So just because Marisa had never been to a sex club before, I figured this would be a really great time to talk with me, the sex club expert, with Marisa, all of the misconceptions she had about a sex club, or at least my sex club, before going into it, and now how that has changed.
Yeah, and there were a lot. The only concepts I had of sex clubs before was movies and TV, and what I know of the Calgary scene, because I'm from Calgary, and it's very different.
Would you want to tell us what you thought you were walking into before you tell us what you actually walked into?
Yeah, I had this, I guess I had envisioned either the sex club that you see on CSI, where it's
the one with the pigs and a trough.
Exactly.
The one that we show. Yeah,
exactly. On our, I think it's Pleasure Empowerment Workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where we do show a pig, a guy dressed in a gimp suit, eating from a trough.
And she's yelling good piggy, and she's dressed like a cowgirl.
Yeah.
And it's in the middle of this pit with a balcony, and everyone can sort of watch them be humiliated.
A rave kind of thing going on.
Yeah, the dark lighting, the dubstep music.
Yeah. And then, but it was either going to be that, or it was going to be just I walk into a room and there's just going to be several different beds all around the room.
Like a bed, like a mattress.
No, yeah, like a bed, like a mattress. But in, I guess booths, like a restaurant.
That's what you were picturing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually, yeah, it's very interesting to be this is what I was thinking, and then
experiencing it, and it's completely different. Yeah.
Wait, what else did you think you were gonna get? You were saying something you didn't realize people drank there.
I had no idea that people drank there. I didn't realize.
This explains why you drank so much before we left.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'd known, I would have been there is alcohol. Well,
I knew that there was alcohol there because you had already said we can get drinks there, but I didn't. I envisioned it as more of a couple drinks maximum kind of thing, not so much as a club because of the consent piece. I had figured it was you can't get drunk there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
This goes back to adults consent under the influence all the time, but we do have people who keep an eye out for people who are too drunk to consent, but we're all adults. Yeah. And also some people like to have a drink to loosen up. And
I because it was my first time, I knew that I needed to have a drink to loosen up. But also I was really excited to go anyways. The first conversation we ever had was I want to go to a sex club.
Right. Yeah. So for our listeners, just so you know, one of the first things we had to do at our sex ed program was introduce yourself and a little bit about yourself and why you're taking the sex ed course, how to be a sex educator. And Marisa gave her bio, and then I gave mine, and it involved I work at a sex club, I work in events at a sex club at the time I did.
And then I quickly looked. I remember actually before I called you or I messaged you, I remember looking at your website because you had shared it, and it was just dick pics and art, dick art, and I was I like her.
Yeah. And I remember you had said something, and I'm she just seems cool. Yeah. And so the first thing she ever texted me was, tell me more about the sex club. I really want to go.
Yeah. I've always wanted to go. I going back to the times where I used to steal my dad's penthouses so I could read them when I was homesick from school and nobody was home, when I was in grade 6 and 7.
Yeah.
I'd read about sex clubs in those, and I have been envisioning going to them and doing group sex and swinging and stuff like that since then. but it's very different where I live, I think, and it's not as what's the word here that I can use? Like it's not as engaging, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's no pool, there's no hot. Like you told me there was a pool and a hot tub, and I was like, like what I envisioned for the pool was like maybe the size of your kitchen.
Oh, you thought like a small pool.
Yeah.
Not like a conversation pool that's like a regular pool. Yeah. So Oasis, just history. It was an old mansion like in Toronto, and it then was a gay bathhouse, and I think they put in the pool then. But it was like a pool with like a sunken deep end, and over the pandemic they filled in the deep end to make it shallow because all of the people our height would complain about the fact that like you couldn't go in so many places in the pool.
Yeah. I was still on my tiptoes for like most of the pool.
Yeah, but it used to be like that corner that you were in with that guy for most of the night.
Yeah,
you would have been submerged with 4 feet of water above your head before the pandemic.
Yeah,
but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so those were your misconceptions. So tell me what is it like going in? What blew your mind? What was maybe disappointing? Tell me everything.
Okay. What was like going in? I guess I again, like, I just envisioned it weird. Everybody was really friendly immediately when I got there. Like, the bouncers were really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like, talked to me a little bit, you know, because I'm talkative and I like to talk to pretty much everybody. And they, like, talked to me. And then I didn't envision that. I had these, like, in my head, I had this, like, man standing outside and, like,
here's the door. Rope. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you can go in. You know? Like, you know, like, yeah. But it wasn't like that at all. And then I didn't envision like, I didn't know what you did with your clothes or anything like that. I assumed you'd go in like a trench coat for some reason and then like go check, but like it didn't.
Right. Like, yeah. And then at one point you handed me your coat and was like, here. And I'm like, all right, you're drunk. We're taking these to the lockers. It was really funny. You're like, here's my coat. And I'm like, thank you. We're not doing coat check. We're going to go take them to the lockers. It was really funny.
Like, yeah, I was like, when we got there, I was pretty drunk. And like I told you this morning, like, I don't remember probably the first like 20 minutes of being there.
Yeah. You don't remember being read all the rules.
We got read rules.
Yeah, literally you came in and you looked at the wall of text, and the staff person in the front was like, you're not going to read this. I'm just going to say it to you. And then you're going to say if you agree or not. And it was things like, yes, me. She started with, you are aware that you are walking into a sex club where there will be sex happening, but you do not need to have sex if you don't want to.
Yes.
Yeah. And then they said, sorry, not they, the front desk person then said, yes means yes. Anything but a yes is a no. Maybe is no. No photography, don't have sex in these areas, like all of like those rules of like that you needed to know, but a lot of it was very consent based. And then there was another thing, there was like just a few other things just confirming that you knew what you were walking into and like what to expect basically.
And again, like I knew what I was walking into. I also didn't.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Just to make sure that you knew you'd be seeing people having sex and that you knew that it was a pressure free environment and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we went to, I showed you around very briefly, very quickly, because I knew that just wanted you to have a general idea of where things were, knowing that you would not be able to find your way around again after. But I just took you around super fast. And then we went and dropped off our stuff. And then we went to the bar. And I had already told the bartender that you were cut off.
To the hot tub. And
then, first we did body shots. Do you remember the body shots?
Not at all.
So it was, because 2 of the guys we were with had the chest caves, the pectus excavatum. So me and my friend.
Did that guy do it out of my boobs like we said?
Yes, he did.
Nice.
So yeah, so me and Lisa did like salt tequila lemon, but like the tequila was out of the chest of the guys.
Yeah.
And then you put the shot between your boobs, and then the guy did the shot out of your boobs, and it was a fun time for all. And then we all did shots, but not you. You did water because you weren't allowed.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
Like again, before we left, I was nervous. I knew I needed a little bit of liquid courage.
Maybe you had a bit too much liquid courage.
But I had like too much liquid courage. And I had like 3 big glasses of gin in like maybe a 30-minute period. Yeah.
It was not the best way to start off that. But that being said, the bartenders knew not to serve you. The bartenders knew not to serve you, and everyone that you were with was not going to take advantage of you and was not going to allow anyone else to either.
I felt safe. And that was a big thing. Like, if I if I had at all felt unsafe, I wouldn't have drank that much just going.
Right.
Yeah. So like I already knew I was going to be around safe people and that you guys were not going to let anything happen to me.
Which is why you didn't feel so bad about maybe over imbibing a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then after the shots, you wanted to go to the hot tub, but I wanted to get a drink. So I was waiting in line. And then you wanted to clarify boundaries. I'm telling you your first hour since we really don't remember. You want to clarify boundaries. So I had one of the guys wait in line for me. We went to the corner because obviously if you're going to talk about having sex with someone, you don't do it in front of them right away. If you're like, can I have sex with this person? Can I have sex with that person? And trying to figure that out. And then we figured out that. And you were just very nervous about like breaking anyone's personal boundaries and rules. And then we got the drink and you sat in the hot tub for a while. I
sat in the hot tub for a long time. I
think.
And
it was really nice.
A long time.
And then the body painting opened up and
and I waited for like 45 minutes in the freaking line for body painting.
Yeah, because it was so long. And then
I actually I remember being on the couch there and she had us draw from that hat. And I thought that I was so excited because she was like,
wait, let me take a step back. Okay. So the event that night was the glow party. And so we had body painters doing like blacklight painting. And then Oasis was doing some sort of show that I really wasn't paying attention to. And as far as I know, it was something like had people that they were going to paint on. And you would like, it was supposed to be something like you would suggest what they painted. But then what was the actual thing?
What do you mean?
Like the suggestions were in a hat?
Yeah, the suggestions were in a hat. And I guess I didn't really understand what was happening because I thought they were calling people up to get painted. And then what you pulled from the hat is what they painted on you. And I got really excited, I remember at one point, because she had called on me and I was like, yes, I get to be painted. And
right. No. Or even like, yes, you get to paint or like anything.
No, it was just like I picked from a hat and it was like, and I can't remember what it was. It was
something like painting a happy little tree, like Bob Ross style.
Yeah. And then they painted that on the person who was up there. What was the question?
I don't remember. And then you waited for 45 minutes after that to get body painted.
To get body painted, and it was very quickly rubbed off because
we went upstairs. Yeah, we went upstairs and had a great time. Yeah. So, but
we did psychedelic vibes. I remember that specifically.
That's fun.
We went up there and the guy was like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "I want like Lucy in the sky with diamonds, but like on my chest." And like, and then he painted a bunch of flowers. Like, cool.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. Okay, so I do remember that when we were doing shots, everyone waiting in line was watching us. Because every person who was waiting in line was watching us do body shots. Because they were like, what? I couldn't tell if they were watching us because they wanted to be us or watching us because they're like, what is this high school bullshit that these people are doing? You never know, but it was really fun.
That's like the fun stuff though. Like high school bullshit is high school bullshit, but it's also
really
fucking fun.
One thing that I like about sex clubs is that like you can do that dumb high school bullshit and everyone is kind of like, they don't take themselves too seriously. You want to play beer pong where you shoot ping pong balls at someone's boobs at the bottom of the stairs. You probably can't do that only because of the fire hazard.
Yeah.
But people would be like, yeah, let's shoot ping pong balls. You know what I mean? I remember doing that in high school. I don't know if you ever did that.
Well, I mean, like I played beer pong like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, we actually, at my D&D, my dungeon master, we were coming off a quest or whatever. And then we went to like a bar in D&D and I was like, let's play beer pong. So she finagled it and we did
actual beer pong
in Dungeons and Dragons.
That's really funny.
As like a thing.
That's amazing.
This is awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so that's sort of there, and then we spent like a few hours up on the sex floor.
Was it a few hours?
It was at least an hour. Minimum an hour.
Yeah. I actually remember there was because there was people like everybody was around. But there were people I didn't know there. And I remember at one point actually being like, they got fairly close to me and I actually remember pushing them away and being like, you're too close. Okay.
And I'm sure they respected that.
I'm sure, they for sure did. But it was like, I very clearly remember that. Like, I don't know you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. It's fun. It's fun to be in a room of other people all doing the same thing, but like everyone's just sort of focused on themselves, except like then you're not for a few seconds and then like you are again. And then
I do remember your friend led me there. And so we got there and he was like, oh, everybody's having sex. And I was like, yay. And I like literally just like dove in.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, cool.
Yeah. It was good.
It was a good time.
Because you had been stuck waiting in line for 45 minutes and we're like, that's the thing. While you were in line for 45 minutes, that's why I'm like hours. Because you were in line for 45 minutes And we were already there the whole time.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
So
for me, maybe it was hours. For you, who knows?
again, I don't. And I think
Right. And then I was saying that at one point I actually left to go pee.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, I realized that there was a crowd. And I was like, excuse me, pardon me, trying to get back to my person, thank you. And I just, usually I care about that stuff and I don't want people to watch, but I just did not give a shit. And I think it helps that I've had laser hair removal in certain areas that I didn't need to worry about what were people seeing. I just didn't care anymore.
Yeah, I actually didn't even know there was a crowd. I wouldn't have cared anyways. That would have been fine.
Well, maybe because there was enough people there that I was like, it's fine if they're watching, like they're probably watching everyone.
Mm-hmm.
They're not watching me. There's just, people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But I think it's cool that they were all watching. It's like, I wish I knew that they were all watching.
Because that would have been better for you?
Yeah, actually. I'm an exhibitionist. I like it when people are watching.
Maybe you just knew secretly deep down, which is why you're having such a good time.
I was having a really good time. I told Ray before I got here into Toronto, and I was like, I haven't had sex in months, and the last time I've had sex was really terrible, and like, I need to go to Oasis and like have sex, please. Yeah. So like that happened. I'm very happy now.
Okay, you mentioned that you thought it was going to be like beds like in booths. So what was the actual experience of like having sex in public in a space that's made for that, and like describe that from what you remember? Because you were a bit more.
What do you mean
then.
though?
Like it wasn't beds and booths.
No,
like
God,
in a
no.
restaurant.
So there was the dungeon area, where there was like crosses on the walls and like a swing and like
furniture.
The furniture.
Yeah.
You'd bend over to get paddled and stuff like that.
Or fucked.
Yeah. And then there was, like designated rooms that were basically just padded. Is that?
Yeah, like
not
the
like
bed.
Crazy person, like mental asylum.
No, the
padded,
walls aren't padded.
Yeah,
it's like a stuffed mattress bed. Like it's called a bed, but it's not a bed. It's like vinyl that's easy to clean.
Yeah.
With like the foam in it, and like everything's very cushiony.
Yeah, and it was a room. That was the entire place was
the red room.
Yeah, the red room was like the entire thing was like
a bed.
A bed.
Yeah,
but not it wasn't a bed. But like,
it was bed like.
Yeah. And then I didn't expect I knew that it was 4 floors. I did not expect it to be 4 floors.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works in my head, but like I don't know how that worked in my head, but like I didn't expect that.
Okay.
There was a lot of stairs.
Yes. It's definitely not accessible for people with mobility issues.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I remember thinking this like on my way down the stairs at one point, because when we went to Casa Loma yesterday, I was like conscious of people looking, like I was like, I don't want people to look at my skirt while I'm walking down these stairs at Casa Loma. And then I still was conscious of that when I was walking around nude in a sex club. I was like, I don't want people to look at my vagina and like my vulva when I'm walking down these stairs. I don't know. but I was naked. So
right. Yeah, that the things that stick around.
Yeah.
You lost your shoes for most of the night.
I did.
Yeah. Which was probably better for you.
Definitely. I would have been like, I can drunk walk in heels just fine.
I just meant more like taking them on and off because you're not allowed to wear heels on the furniture.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think of the other furniture that was there. There was
the Shag and Wagon. I showed you briefly. You might not remember.
I think I do.
Okay. Like the back of a van.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then God, I loved the pool. That was so comfortable. And I guess I don't remember a lot of the furniture, honestly.
Oh, so you know how when you're drunk you say the same thing over and over and over again?
Yeah.
And like different nights, different drunk
thing?
The thing that you kept saying over and over and over again was, I'm just really comfortable here. And like, I'm just really comfortable with him.
Yeah.
And if he's here, then I'm comfortable.
I'm good. Yeah.
And so I'll just be where he is.
Yeah.
And I'm here with him, so I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
And that was like you. And I was just like, I'm glad you're comfortable. Feel free to keep being around him if that's what's making you feel good.
Yeah. I don't like, again, I just like clombed on to somebody who made me feel safe, and I was like, and now I'm with them forever. For the rest of the evening.
I know that person fairly well.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that he was not upset by that in the least. The biggest compliment you can give him is that he makes you feel safe.
Yeah.
And so he was like, okay.
Yeah.
If you had glommed onto him and not had sex with him, he still would have been thrilled. And he still would have been like, I mean, it would have been nice, but you know, it was nice to be with someone who wanted to be like, he just likes to be around people who want to be with him.
Yeah.
So it was very pleasant.
It definitely did.
Everyone had a great time.
Yeah.
And then I think around 1 a.m. hit, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and we hadn't had food all day. We had lunch at 2 p.m.
I had a sweet potato.
Yeah, and I was starving.
I actually remember this earlier when we were talking about it. I did have toast yesterday morning.
Right.
But I
put vodka in my protein shake before we left. That was what I had. I don't know if you remember, but when you were drinking your gin, I had my like supplement protein shake, but there was no protein in it. It was collagen, a supplement, and like fruit.
I remember
blended.
That, yeah. I remember.
And I threw in vodka. That was like my dinner. So, yeah. So around midnight, I basically was starving and told all of you guys that I was starving and we were going to get food.
Yeah.
But I found a polite way of saying that if we don't leave, I think I said something like, if we don't leave now, I will die of starvation, and so we must leave.
Like I didn't realize we were leaving, and then all of a sudden, we were like, I wanted to go to the dungeon because I really wanted to have sex on the swing, and then very like within 5 minutes. We hadn't even had sex yet, and
I was like, nope, I'm dying.
Everybody was in the dungeon, and it was like, we're leaving now, and I was like, oh.
Sorry. Well, we can go back if you want.
I kind of do.
Yeah, we can go back.
Yeah,
we can go back again.
Okay.
We can go back again.
Perfect.
Just so you can have sex in the swing. We can go back with the same people.
Cool.
Great.
Let's do that.
So, what was I going to say? Right. No, but the reason for that was you wanted to stay, but I was starving. And if I didn't
did I say I wanted to stay?
No, like you were like, oh, I want to have sex in the swing. And I was like, that's nice. Unfortunately, if we don't eat right now, I will die.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. And I was also getting drunker and like knew it was going to be a problem soon because we hadn't eaten anything.
Was I at all like disagreeable?
No.
I'm trying to think about like.
No, you were just a little bit, it was a little bit like herding cats at one point.
I was drunk.
But that's, yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't feel bad. That's like everyone when they're drunk.
Yeah.
But also we were a group of 6.
Yeah.
So, no, I think it was 8 by the end because we picked up more friends and we were all going to eat together.
The guy from, was he from Newfoundland?
Yes.
Yeah. I had, like, we had like full conversation because it was like,
yeah.
East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we picked up more people. We're like, we're going to go. You're like, I've never had shawarma. We're like, well, then we're going to get shawarma. And then later you went, it's just a pita. And we're like, but the chicken is the shawarma.
It's just
yeah.
Okay.
With chicken shawarma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It, like, I don't know if you guys have, like, you probably do because it's Toronto and you guys have everything here that Calgary has.
Donor?
But, like, no, not doner.
Oh, okay. That's the one that everyone knows. That's doner kebab is like another thing.
Donair.
Donair? No, here you just say donor.
Okay.
Nobody says donair here. It's just doner kebab. It's weird.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, continue.
And it's because, so at the old pub that I worked at, every single night after work, like the bouncers would be like, okay, everybody's shawarma order. And I never wanted it. And I just always got the spicy fries.
Yeah, you tried to order spicy fries from a place that didn't have spicy fries last night. It was really funny.
I was like, I expected them to have spicy fries because another place had spicy fries that also served shawarma.
Yeah, it was really, you put music in your phone on and then you put your phone on your cleavage. You were just bringing the party with you everywhere. And then at one point, I was with my friend Jay. We were eating and he you're on the outside dancing up on the glass. Just like twerking up on the glass while I'm like stuffing my face with the rest of the food that you couldn't finish because I was that hungry. And Paul, Newfie guy, literally is holding your coat. You had thrown your coat away and he just came in and handed it to me. And it was like, he's like, this is your friend's coat. And then after that point, we were outside waiting for an Uber and then we were line dancing. And it turns out that you and I know different versions of the Cotton Eye Joe, but you refuse to show me your version. You're like, mine is superior. We're just going to do mine. I'm like, but I don't know what you're doing.
I'm like, mine is superior.
You were like,
from a cowboy place.
Yeah. And then this is the most exciting part. We'll get back to the sex after this. When we got back to my kitchen, I had to teach you guys the traditional Jewish dance, the Dr. Jones. But you couldn't keep up. You just were like not mentally there. So you just started twerking in the middle of it, except half the dance with the Dr. Jones is like running across the room at each other. And you were just twerking in the middle of the chaos. And
that is very who I am.
Yeah. All of us were like, and it's time for bed. And you're like, no, it's not. We got to keep dancing. And we're like, it's time for bed. You're like no.
3 a.m.
Yeah. We're like, it was 3 a.m. And you're like, but we don't need to go to bed. We're just going to keep dancing. I'm like, you're not going to want, you will regret this choice tomorrow if we don't go to bed right now. And then I'm sure you pass the fuck out.
Like literally, I think I laid down and then
toddler who's like, I'm not tired. And I'm like, you literally just got so much activity. You're tired. You're overtired.
I was overtired and like overwhelmed, but in a good, like
Yeah.
in a good overwhelmed.
Okay, now let's go back to the sex. You have not come yet.
No, I haven't. I am so horny.
You are not the only person who didn't come last night.
Okay.
I believe there was at least 2 other gentlemen in our party.
I knew
2 to
that.
3.
Yeah.
Actually, I think none of the guys came.
Oh,
Which one of them?
that's like new for me.
Yeah, when I checked in with one of them, I was like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't come here expecting to come. I come expecting to have a good time."
That's awesome.
That's kind of like, he's like, "I never expect to come when I show up. I'll jerk off when I get home."
I know it's a personal thing, and it has to do with the partners that I've had and like where I grew up and all these different things. Like, I have to relearn my sexual scripts because they're off. You know, like,
Right. Because if you weren't drunk, you would have been like, "But you have to come, or the
Like,
sex isn't over."
yeah, like,
Or like him
like,
too, yeah.
I would have been like, okay, because I know better. But had it been like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and I was having sex with somebody and they didn't come, I would not know like what to do.
Right.
I would have been like, so what do we do now? What are we play checkers or like, you know,
Right.
like,
And what we did was we got shawarma.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
said, "Okay, the sex is done. We're gonna go have shawarma."
yeah.
But okay, so you didn't come.
No.
I think I handed
I did
you.
have the magic wand for a minute, but I was still like fairly overwhelmed and I was drunk, so it's harder to come.
It's so hard to come when there's too much sensory overload.
Yeah, and I definitely had a sensory.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people expect you're gonna go to a sex club and you're going to orgasm everywhere. But I feel like you had a lot of sex, but there was not a lot of orgasms.
Ooh, shit, I'm doing my makeup.
Yeah.
I guess that was the thing too. Like, I don't know what I thought, but I just thought like multiple orgasms everywhere I looked. Kind of like that was going in. I was like, everyone's gonna be orgasming.
And was everyone?
No.
I mean, I orgasmed,
Yeah.
but I know how to get there.
Yeah.
It actually took me a lot of work to get there too.
Yeah.
There was a moment where I was like, it's gonna take me longer than usual. It will take me maybe closer to 3 minutes rather than 30 seconds when we're like actively going towards it. There's like the sex you're having, and then there's like, it's time to orgasm getting on the way.
Mhm.
And it took me longer.
Okay. Yeah.
For sure.
I've told you this before. I think last time I was on the podcast, it was a thing. Like, my orgasm's really tricky. I'm very in my head about it because of like the experience I had with my ex, who was like mad at how long it took.
Okay.
And like,
go fuck him, but don't.
Yeah, exactly.
He can go fuck himself, not you.
Yeah. And he was really upset that I would take a very long time to orgasm, or like I would take a long time to even get aroused and stuff like that. And it's like the average woman takes like 40 minutes or 45 minutes to be fully aroused.
Yeah.
And you're mad because I'm not aroused and orgasmed within 20 minutes. What? You know, like,
you didn't show up to the party already ready to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like I'm very in my head, like it's, I don't know, you call it trauma. It's very like a mental thing, and
yeah.
Yeah.
Were you in your head last night?
I think I was too drunk to be in my head.
Which is why people drink sometimes.
Oh, shit.
Dumb cat fell over.
I also was like, I remember parts of when I was having sex, where I was too in my head. Like, it was like, I was just all of a sudden, and again, like I was, like I knew that going in, I was consenting and like, it was not a thing. Yeah. But, like,
yeah, you didn't do anything you didn't want to do.
No,
you had expressed wanting to do while sober.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do remember, like, you know how you get those like moments of clarity when you're drunk and you're just like, everything, I'm all of a sudden very sober, but then you're drunk again.
Yeah.
I had several of those while we were having sex, and I remember, what was my point? I remember like thinking to myself, like, this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, because there was people having sex and there was people having sex and I was having sex, and like the person having sex over here was like grabbing my boob and like,
yeah,
it was just like,
one thing that happened to me, there was one time where this was one of the things I was saying. One time when I hosted a sex party, I got overwhelmed at one point, not overstimulated, but overwhelmed by wanting to make sure that everyone was having a good time. Like, I feel really responsible for people having a good time when I'm hosting them, especially. And I don't want anyone to have like a traumatic experience or a bad experience, especially not at, like, I know that some people have those at sex clubs or can have those things. And I just want to make sure everyone's having a good time, which means that I'm not having a good time because I'm so worried about everyone else having a good time. And last night I knew that everyone was having a good time. I didn't need to look. And there also came a moment where I was like, you know what? If they're not enjoying themselves, that's on them to say something to me. Yeah. And they can say what they want. So I am just going to say what I want and I'm going to do it and it's going to be great. And that's what I did. And it was fantastic. And it was one of the most fun. I honestly, last night was one of the most fun nights that I've had there.
I had a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah. Was it a lot like in my group of friends back at home? I'm the mom of the group. Like I'm constantly trying to wrangle people. I'm trying to make sure that they're being safe and like not running off, you know, down alleyways. I'm that person. And it was really nice that I wasn't that person last night.
Yeah, no one had to be that person. I think we were a group of, I mean, I'm not the mom or the mom friend, but I definitely am the, you know, itinerary list plan. I make sure that I don't have to be the mom.
Assistant.
I have I plan so I don't need to be the mom. Yeah. You know, I'm like, I have a plan. This is the plan. The plan will be in action. I don't need to be the mom because I know that there's a plan. And other people, my plan sometimes is to not have a plan. And as long as I know that's the plan. But last night, all of us were such responsible people that we knew that someone else, that we'd all be okay. Like we were like, oh, you can let go when you're in a group of mom friends. Yeah. Because you don't need to be the mom.
I do need to mom.
You can twerk up on a glass window at the shawarma place.
To be fair, even as a mom, I would do that. Okay. Yeah. Even as a mom, I'd be sitting there twerking. Yeah. Okay. What's happening with the cat?
She's running around. I know, she's not even my cat. And I think she went to the basement. Oh. She got tired of us not paying attention to her, similar to...
It was just a noise and I thought it was the cat.
Oh, it's me shifting in my chair.
Oh, okay. I thought she was doing a hairball and I was like, get it.
I don't think she's ever done that. Hairball? Not here so far.
Lucky.
My sister can deal with that later. Okay, I'm trying to think of like what other... You're right, in terms of the whole, like, you think it's going to be multiple orgasms everywhere, but then you get there and it's just people having sex.
It's just like people having fun and like letting loose and having a good time.
Okay, bodies. Yeah. Was it one of the other things that they said when you walked in was there are going to be people of all shapes and sizes and orientations and identities here, and you're going to see them in all their full glory, and you must be okay with that. And that was one of the things, like you're going to see it, and that's okay, and like that, you know, that's something that everyone's comfortable with here. Did you feel like it was a body positive space? Did you feel like there was only one kind of body that was acceptable?
No, God, no, very body positive. Like I remember, I actually remember thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome, because like there were people there who were like, who I know who would be like very self-conscious in different contexts elsewhere, but they were so comfortable like being in their nude there. And it was like, that is phenomenal, because they, like, I'm positive they have been uncomfortable in other places in clothes. And here it's just like so accepting and loved and awesome,
and you can just feel good about yourself.
Yeah
Oh yeah, I ran into this couple. It was their first time at Oasis, but not their first time at the club, and they were talking about this other club. It was not their first time at a sex or lifestyle club, but it was their first time at Oasis. And they were talking about this one called NYX, which is in Oakville, which is like about an hour and a half away from here. And not the makeup brand.
I'm thinking Oakland.
No,
I was thinking Oakland. Of Raiders. The Raiders. I was like,
Oakville.
The Raiders?
Yeah, and I've never been there, but they were saying it's a lot more like nightclub dance floor. And so they said it's fun. It's just a different vibe. It's like if you want to go dance and then have sex, but you can't really talk to people there. But Oasis, everyone's friendly. Everyone's talking. I'm like, yeah, this is where I make my friends. This is where I meet people who like the same things that I like. And it's not just sex. Like, play Dungeons and Dragons, but also like are really cool people, or like, you know, the metal friends. And like from Newfoundland. He and I,
is that his wife as well?
Yeah.
She was nice. I liked her.
Yeah, they're lovely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to name them on the podcast, but nobody knows who I'm talking about unless they know who I'm talking about, so it should be okay.
Yeah.
But like, I hang with, we talk about like martial arts stuff. Like you know what I mean? Like they're all just really cool, wonderful people.
I actually had no idea that you knew him. When like, cause I only met him at the end of the dungeon, and we were talking before everybody else got there. And then all of a sudden he like looked at you and was like, is this the one you've never met before? Who is like, who like flew out to meet you and stuff like that. And it was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you know who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. Like, it's just a nice, friendly group of people. When I mentioned some that, so what happened was I said to one group of friends, I told them that you were coming. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. No one I know listens. I'll have to find out if I should bleep out their names later. I'm going to message them and find out if I'm allowed to. But anyway, I had told them that we were all going and they should come. And then I was also going to tell like P&T that like we were going, but they got to them first and told them first. So then they ended up buying tickets for the same night. And then I'm like, yeah, I'll show up. And then I felt really bad because I told her to show up, but was already too drunk and horny. And was like, okay, bye, I'm going to go upstairs. I got to call her and be like, I'm so sorry. I was already horny by the time you showed up. But she knew it. She knew. She can tell when I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
After a year of working at Oasis with me.
I sat with her for a while, her and her partner for a while, watching body paint and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah. Truly lovely people.
They are.
Yeah. That's the thing. You meet really nice people. Oh, and then at one point at the end of the night, I saw this one guy who I always would refer to him as Clark Kent because he had this perfect hair and these glasses. And so I came up and I like gave him a nod.
I remember that word.
Perfectly coiffed. Yeah. Perfectly coiffed pubes, perfectly coiffed hair.
Mm-hmm.
And not him. The pubes were someone else's perfectly coiffed pubes. Yeah. Anyway, so
keep going.
I used to call him like Superman or Clark Kent because he had that look and I could never remember his name. I mean, I'll remember it now because I've asked him so many times. And we hadn't seen each other since before the pandemic. And I like instantly saw him and we like made eye contact and I went over and was like, how are you? He's like, I'm celebrating. I started a new role at work. I'm sure that's not exciting to you at a sex club. And I'm like, no, tell me all about your new role. And then he actually started telling me about it. And I was like, dude, I'm going to tell you off camera just so this guy doesn't accidentally get outed. But like, it was one of those things where I was like, the more you explain, the more excited I am for you. And also I know exactly what you do for a living because I used to work in nonprofit and like, I totally understand this kind of role. And we talked about it for a bit and it was like a non-sex conversation. And then he's like, oh, so are you like playing with people tonight? I'm like, dude, I was just in that room for like an hour. And he's like, fuck, I missed it. You're so hot. I've always wanted to watch. And I'm like, sorry, maybe next time.
Yeah.
And it was just really nice that we had this nice, genuine moment of connection about nothing to do with sex. But also he's super hot and I would totally watch him have sex too. So like when he said that, I was like, I wish I had known that earlier. I would have been like, join the room of people that are all sort of watching each other. Yeah. Yeah. So what a good time.
I talked that guy's ear off for a long time.
Which, that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy you were with.
Yeah. For like a long time. I'm very talkative when I'm drunk. So
good thing, he's friends with me. So I'm sure he's used to having his ear talked off.
Again, at the pub that I used to work at for Christmas one year, they like gave me a megaphone.
That's funny.
It's like
you can just keep going.
Just keep going.
I am surrounded by men who like short, curly-haired, talkative girls with thick thighs. That's all I'm gonna say. So you are in good company.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Any last? I know that you were drunk, so you don't remember as much. So half of this has been me just retracing the night for you.
I loved it. It's like I appreciate that. Anyways, any last what?
Yeah, any last like thoughts? Is there anything else that was really particularly fun or something that you were hoping for that didn't happen other than the sex swing? We'll go back.
Hoping for that didn't happen. Or last thoughts. I guess like I was upset that there were lines for things.
Yeah, like the bar and well, like to get body painted. Yeah,
not just that. Like to like in the dungeon and stuff like that. Like people were like waiting to use things.
The equipment.
Yeah, the equipment. And I was like,
it was really busy.
Yeah, really busy. So, like I didn't expect there to be enough people there that there would be lines for things.
That makes sense.
You know, because I didn't. Yeah, it was going to be like an actual club atmosphere. So
right, you weren't expecting it to be like. You were expecting it to be like a restaurant with sex booths.
Yeah.
Not a party.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way that I've explained sex clubs in the city to people, or the ones in Toronto, is that there's M4, which some people describe as mattress on the floor, which isn't bad. Some people really like that vibe. They like that it's like it's more affordable. It's a lot more low key. There are a lot more single dudes there, solo dudes. And some people really like that, like kind of like that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
There's like NYX, I've been told, and X Club are much more like your nightclub lounge, like club.
Okay.
Like not necessarily that CSI club, but like literally like a nightclub vibe with sex rooms. Like, yeah, with music. And like you can't get food delivered there. But Oasis feels like a house party.
Yeah, it did feel like a house. It's exactly the vibe. Like a house party.
Like a house party in the movies.
Yeah.
Not like the house party you throw. Like the house party you want to go to.
It's the house party that like you wish you threw.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's music. There's people. There's like life everywhere you look.
I actually also remember at one point thinking like, I was upset that there wasn't a dance floor.
Yeah, so the thing that they have as a dance floor is sort of that main area pole. That's why they have the booths sort of around it, but people just don't use it because they don't really, people will dance, but it's usually 1 or 2 or 3 people who are like, I just want to dance, and then they go dance, but there's no dance floor because people would rather be in the pool.
Yeah, because the pool's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, like,
so it's a house party.
Yeah, definitely. Oh God.
Okay, if you were going to give advice to someone going for their first time, even they've listened to this whole episode, they still don't really know what to expect because, as you said, you have your like preconceived notions that you show. What advice would you give to someone going for the first time, other than don't chug 3 gin drinks right before you go?
I guess it would be like, I don't want to say like go with people that you're comfortable with because you can go solo.
It helps,
but
if
like
you go with
that
people
was
you're comfortable with.
That was a big thing for me, is that I went with people that I like. Even though I've only actually, like, we've only physically met 2 days ago. Like, I felt like I knew you and all of your friends already. And like,
they have come to all of our workshops and our test runs. If that helps.
Yeah. And so, like, go with people you know and you're comfortable with. And also be open-minded, I guess. Like, you're gonna see things you didn't expect to see. You're going to do things you didn't expect to do, probably. But go open-minded, while also being aware and informed consent.
Yeah.
You know?
And I guess my last question, just because we have mentioned that you were very drunk for a lot of this, did you, how would you describe the staff interactions with you?
Oh, amazing. I loved that. So like we've said, I was pretty drunk when I first got there. They immediately cut me off. Like, I was immediately cut off.
Yeah, we told them. You told them, I told them, and they did.
Yeah, and they didn't, they like,
they weren't rude about it.
They weren't rude about it whatsoever. They weren't like judging me because I was too drunk and I was there. And like, I would say too drunk, but I wasn't too drunk. But like, they weren't like judging me because I was drunk in there. And I feel like a lot of other nightclubs, like if you're too drunk or you're just like really drunk,
when they say by too drunk, you mean like sloppy drunk. Not like if you're falling over, or like they would have taken care of you and said time for you to go home and put you in a cab. Yeah. When you say too drunk, you mean like woo girl drunk.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dancing queen. You know, but also what was really awesome too is they also let me explain to them after I had sobered up quite a bit. I had done a lot of activity and spent time in the hot tub and drank a lot of water.
Yeah.
After I was sobered up quite a bit, they were like rate your level of like, should you be drinking again? And I thought about it. I got to like think about it for a minute and I was like, yeah, I'm okay now. And I liked that.
And they let you think, and they asked and you thought about it.
Yeah. And I really liked that they were like, they let me decide for myself, but also like judged how I was deciding, I guess.
Yeah.
Like they didn't, I would have like, as a bartender, I would have just cut somebody off and then they wouldn't have another drink for the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they also want people to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And like cutting people off sometimes it starts fights too, as you know.
Yeah.
But I think it also helps that both of the bartenders that night were women.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just very conscious of making sure that you were safe.
And she kept my shoes. And I remember asking her several times about my shoes. And she was like, they're safe.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. They're like, she's drunk and they're safe. Yeah.
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 I feel like we all have those days and times where you are that person who is drunk and repeating themselves over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I've been that person.
Mm-hmm.
We're all going to be that person. And I know I don't want my friends to be annoyed by me when I'm like that. So I don't get annoyed by my friends. I'm like, I've been there and it's a fun place to be sometimes. And like the bartenders deal with that all the time, but they did it very kindly.
Very well.
And if they were annoyed, they didn't let it show.
If they were annoyed with me, which I'm sure that they like could have been,
they would have
had probable cause to be annoyed with me. Like they didn't let that show whatsoever.
Okay.
Really nice, yeah.
And now, just because this is another common thing that comes up, I asked you for advice as if we were done this topic, but we're not yet. Shall we talk about condoms and safer sex? Because we didn't have any yesterday.
Condoms?
We did not have safer sex yesterday.
Oh, no.
But we did.
Yeah.
Because we knew who we were with. We knew the status.
Decisions.
Yeah, we made decisions.
Yeah. I hate condoms.
I hate condoms.
Like, they're terrible.
I would rather have sex with someone there that I know that I don't need to use condoms with than sex with someone that I don't know. Just like condom-free sex with someone you know, I will take over rando variety condom sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
any day.
Yeah.
But there were condoms
Available.
everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there was one point where I think I looked at you and was
you
like,
did.
yeah, and was like, I know how you feel about condoms. I'm just going to bring out here that this could be an option that nobody needs to worry about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And the person I was with was like cool without a condom. And I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, because also,
again, it's not like for me, I'm going
you're
to
not at risk for pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not at risk for pregnancy. But for me, asking somebody to wear a condom is not about getting them to wear a condom. It's about seeing their reaction to me asking them to wear a condom.
For example.
Yeah. Okay. Like shoulders.
Shoulders is about to become an interprovincial sensation.
Yeah.
Tell us the story.
Oh, like the whole thing?
Sure. Or yeah, why don't you tell the whole thing? It's a funny story.
It's a hilarious story. So I was having, I got set up on this date with this guy and I went home with him. But he lived in the same building as one of my best friends, and it was my best friend that kind of like set up the night and stuff. And so I was over at this guy's house and we were fooling around. He went down on me for like literally like 15 to 30 seconds. I don't know. And then tried to shove his like dick into me. And I was like, whoa, like I'm not ready yet. And do you have a condom? And he was like, no, I don't. And he just like tried to shove it into me again. And I was like, okay, like then we'll just do stuff above the
waist.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Hand things, mouth things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like no, like I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, well, do you have a condom? And he was like, no. He's like, I don't have condoms or something. And I was like, luckily I'm a sex educator. And like, I know who I am. And like, I was like, I have a condom, you know? And he was like, I don't want to wear that. And I said to him like, okay, like, so we just won't have like penetrative sex then. And I started like, he was already kind of giving off the vibe. So I just started to get dressed. And he started to try to like convince me to stay. And he kept on saying a bunch of different things. But the thing that really stood out was like, but look at my shoulders. Like, look at these shoulders.
And
like,
he was flexing while he did it.
Oh my God. He did like full like muscle man flexes and like kept talking about his shoulders. And I was like, I don't know what to do with your, like, what are you talking about? Like,
what do I do with this information?
Yeah.
Like these shoulders. Yeah.
And he said to me, do you know any girls I could fuck with these shoulders? And I was just like flabbergasted. I think, like your friend said it last night. I can't remember what he said, but like they have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Oh,
and, yeah.
Can you please wear a mask? I don't need to wear a mask. I'm wearing shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they said.
Like,
yeah. Like, what?
I was like, yeah, that's exactly.
Wearing shoes.
Completely. And he was just like, too many girls I could fuck with these shoulders. And my response is immediately just sarcasm. So I looked down at my tits and I was like, oh my God, look at these tits. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, do you know how many people would wear a condom for these tits? What do you want me to say to this? And then he tried to shame me into it. And he was like, well, if you want to wear a condom so bad, like, I know that I'm clean, like, you must be dirty.
Blech.
I know, so bad. And I went down on, like, I'm, again, super sarcastic, and I went down and I was like, oh.
She's, just to describe, her hands are together on her lap, and she bent over as if she was speaking to a toddler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, is that what we're doing? We're gonna shame me into having sex without a condom. And, like, you know, like,
shaming each other now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And it was so stupid. And he then continued to talk about his shoulders. And it was just like, this is so absolutely terrible. And I told him later, I was like, any answer that included like, I don't have a condom, we'll just do above the waist. Like, let's go get a condom. Do you have a condom? Like, any answer that would have shown that you were thinking about or willing to wear a condom would have got you 2 pumps in with the condom, and then me being like, take the condom off, I don't want it.
So
where the fucking, like, but I was, at that point, he
really revealed a lot of himself to you in that interaction.
Oh, so much.
And so ever since Marisa has told me about this, you know, I've just been wondering, what's my body part that means that I'm so hot I get to be an asshole?
Mm-hmm.
And so far, everyone that we've asked has confirmed. I thought it was my ass because, well, actually, I thought it was my collarbones, but everyone has assured me it is in fact my ass.
Mm-hmm.
And Marisa thinks that it's her boobs. And so far, everyone has confirmed that it is
my boobs.
her boobs.
I get
so, listeners, if you feel like writing in about which of your body part is so good that you get to be a total jackass, we would love to hear from you which body part that is.
Yeah.
Some men would be like, it's my fingers.
Yeah.
It's my tongue.
Yeah. Yeah. But
that's
like,
right.
Shoulder. The thing too is like,
shoulders.
It's fucking shoulders.
It's your
like,
shoulders.
what do you what? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like
our shoulders.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I think this has been a fun time. We're gonna go back to Oasis, I guess. We got to get you in that sex swing.
Yes, I really want to.
We got to finish our makeup.
Yeah.
And head out soon. Are you gonna do your bottom eyeliner today?
No.
Okay.
That feels like a party thing.
It's a party thing for you. Okay.
I just really want to, like, I have braces, and that was actually something I was worried about last night because
you were saying you just got the bottom braces in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a thing I had to worry about.
Good to know.
It was like, that just goes into like the body positivity kind of thing. Like, it wasn't a thing I had to worry about. It was nice.
Yeah. It's nice to know that when you get braces, you can still give head.
Yeah. But I have a really tiny mouth. I don't give good head. Like, I don't think I could give
I have a tiny mouth.
Yeah. Like,
sometimes it makes it easier.
Yeah.
You're not, I feel like, okay, just as an aside, some people think good head is deep throating, and other people don't give a shit if you can deep throat. Mm. And I think that
incorporate my hands because
because that's how you do the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. I do the twisty.
Yeah, the cyclone, as the Edge called it back when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cyclone is literally a term that I learned from a radio station in high school, where your mouth is like the top and then your hands are doing like this kind of like twisty motion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then you do both together, kind of like a big long twisty tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just kind of like vary your pressure depending on what people want. Okay. We don't have a listener question this week because once again, this is a special episode, but I do want to include a sex ed story of the week, but I didn't get any either because literally I woke up once again hungover and was like, Marissa, we're recording. Let's talk about this. So, Marissa, tell me one story from sex ed when you were a kid.
Story from sex ed.
Yeah. Anything any sort of sexual education experience you had, good or bad. Your mom totally counts. You tell so many stories about how great your mom was.
Okay, so my mom totally counts. Now I'm trying to think of one, and I always have these stories, and now I'm on the spot. I can't think of one.
Tell her about, your mom didn't tell you to wait for marriage.
No, she definitely, her entire, so me and my mom started talking about sex when I was 4 or 5. Like, we actually started talking about people and their bodies and their bodies together and different things. And one of the reasons for that is because we lived beside a prostitute and a sex worker. And it was around,
yeah.
And, so I can't remember where I was going.
Sexual debut.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was probably 11 or 12 or something like that. And, it was something I was starting to be aware of more and was and had the conversation with my mom because she had talked to me about it forever. I was very comfortable talking to her about it. First of all, if you're a parent, talk to your kids about sex. Okay. And she straight up told me right away, do not wait for marriage. She's like, sexual compatibility matters. And if you wait for marriage, you do not know if you're sexually compatible. And then you are locked into a contract that you might not want. And yeah. And I knowing people who have waited for marriage and then got divorced because their sexual compatibility was so bad. I actually have a sex partner who was that was the major reason we got divorced. I am so glad that my mom was do not wait for marriage. Test drive the car.
The car. Yeah.
But again, my I would come home we always got letters when we were doing sex ed. So my mom knew when the sex ed classes were, and I would come home and she would be like, tell me what you learned. I want to correct them if I need to. And she did a lot. It was awesome.
Thank you for listening, everybody, to this special episode that involved no public news, but definitely private news.
Yeah.
You can join the Deviants Defining Elite by lots of ways. Join our communities on Patreon, patreon.com/sexnewswithray. Big thanks to our supporters, but especially to Judah. Thank you, Judah. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter @sexnewswithray. Submit a listener question or your sex ed story through sharewithray.com/podcast or email sexnewswithray@gmail.com or DM me. Where can you DM me? The SNW are on Instagram, @WithRay on Instagram and TikTok, or @ShareWithRay, which is the sexuality coaching Instagram. For latex content, follow @RazorLatex. And for nudes, follow my OnlyFans, @RazorLatex. The podcast is produced by me and engineered by Josh from Josh T Films and is hosted at sexnewswithray.podbean.com. The theme music is by Blank and Brilliant, and our logo is by Dolly Shops Photography.
Shout out to Oasis as well. Thank you for giving me an awesome, first time sex club.
Thank you, Oasis Aqualounge.
Yeah.